separation of a region partway through the process.
Full dissolution would disrupt critical services and lead to higher taxes.
This is an expensive mess.
The Ford government explains its reversal to break up Peel Region. From hospitals to paramedics, we're tracking reaction to the policy changeup.
Get on board. There are $200 million left on the table.
Plus, time is ticking for Toronto councillors, what they have to agree on to unlock millions in provincial and federal dollars.
The fact that we all get a chance to come out and do this is major.
And raising their voices to raise donations and spirits just in time for the holidays. We'll take you inside the first in-person concert for Toronto's Symphonic Passion Chorus in years. Hey, good evening. I'm Chris Glover. We begin tonight with the stoppage of a major breakup. The Ford government officially saying today Peel Region will stay together. That's even after the process had begun to sever Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon. And tonight, lots of reaction to Doug Ford's latest policy about-face is coming in. We'll take you to Peel for all that in just a moment. But first to Queen's Park, where Lorenda Redekop lays it all out in our top story.
The Peel breakup is off, less than 7 months after the Ford government announced it was happening.
The evidence we have seen is clear. Full dissolution would disrupt critical services and lead to higher taxes for the people of Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon.
But there'd already been warnings of skyrocketing costs and job losses before the government passed legislation to dissolve the region. The minister defended going through the process.
It was the Hazel McCallion Act that allowed us to put together the Peel Transition Board, that allowed us to really dig into how this would work, what the costs would be.
This is an expensive mess, and it is no way to run a province.
The opposition leader says the government should have done the research first and never passed the Peel split.
Almost every decision that this government has made in the last year, they've had to reverse course on. If they would have they've wasted enormous money and time, and a lot of people have been impacted.
And it's not the only reversal announced today. 24 of the province's MZOs, fast-tracked zoning changes under the previous minister, are going to get a second look and could be reversed. And municipal audits, including of Peel and its cities, are being stopped.
I understand that these audits are now complete, and I urge the government to release the results.
This flip-flop, a loss for Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie, who argues her city overpays for Peel Region. It comes on the same day she officially announced her resignation as mayor.
I'll never forget my time here as mayor in this chair.
She's moving on from mayor to Premier Ford's new competition as Ontario Liberal leader. But Peel's other leaders, the mayors of Brampton and Caledon, didn't want the split and warned of higher taxes.
I want to applaud the provincial government for making the right decision, for averting what was going to be a financial train wreck for the region of Peel.
Dissolution was a promise Ford made to the late former Mississauga mayor, the act named after her.
They want it. We gave it to them. I promised Hazel many years ago.
How the government today explains breaking that promise?
Well, Mayor Crombie believes that dissolution at any cost. I don't think that's something that Hazel McCallion would have liked.
New legislation undoing all of this is expected sometime in the new year. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
From hospitals to paramedics, many organizations in Peel are reacting to the drastic policy change tonight. Greg Ross walks us through that part of our coverage.
We're overjoyed that Mr. Calandra made the right decision and kept Peel together.
Dave Wakely is the president of the Peel Paramedics Union. He's been sounding alarm bells for weeks over the province's original plan to dissolve Peel Region. He says it would have left hundreds of paramedics from the region feeling unstable in their jobs. Wakely says as a result, many were already considering other options.
Ultimately, paramedics were about to start leaving us for other greener, more secure pastures. And the announcement today hopefully will reverse that intent.
It wasn't just paramedics who were raising concerns with the province over dissolution. Many in the public health sector were also feeling like their jobs were in limbo.
We started to wonder where our place was.
Michelle Eagle is a nurse in Peel Region. She says just the prospect of dissolution took a toll on public health at a time when there is a shortage of qualified workers.
People aren't looking to come to us because there's no stability. So I think in the last 6 months, it has done detriment to our reputation as for a public health unit in the province.
Some of the data that led to the province's decision to keep Peel Region together came from the Metamorphosis Network, which represents more than 100 non-profit community service agencies. Co-chair Gurpreet Malhotra says it would have had much more than just a financial impact.
Whenever a big systemic change takes place, the people that are most likely to lose are the vulnerable, are those who are in need of services and may not have the means to quickly reattach to new services. So that concern mounted among many groups.
All of these representatives told us that they hope the province and the region can learn some lessons from this ordeal to not only make Peel stronger, but ultimately more efficient. Greg Rawls, CBC News, Mississauga.
Back here in Toronto, no breakup talk to tell you about, but councillors remained far apart on some pretty big issues at City Hall today. Council did officially pass the new deal with the provincial government designed to help get the city's finances back on track. But there were several points on which local politicians did not agree. Daniela Ponticelli shows us what's at stake.
All those in favor?
The clock is ticking down on the final session of City Council for 2023, and there's a lot at stake.
We are getting some sustained funding so that we can stop worrying about how we live day to day in the shelter system and focus.
Not so fast. City Manager Paul Johnson is referring to money for shelters promised by the province as part of its new deal with Toronto. But that money, as well as the funding for new TTC subway cars, is only coming if the feds match.
And I would advise every councillor who has criticisms to get on board. There are $200 million left on the table for homelessness, for putting people into shelters that we will not be able to touch or access to help people in the city if the federal government doesn't come through.
I think it would be politically unwise for the federal government not to follow suit.
In total, councillors agreed to ask the federal government for $2.7 billion.
Well, the skinny is that the federal government was present at all the negotiations. They had a seat at the table as an observer. I cannot imagine the politics of them not finding a way to also contribute.
The city has already freed up $6.5 billion over the next decade because the province is picking up the tab on DVP and the Gardiner going forward. That has no federal strings attached.
The city is delivering. The province is delivering, and people want the federal government to deliver as well.
Mayor Olivia Chow revealed that once the deal came together, the first person she called was former Mayor John Tory.
Because it was John Tory and the mayor before him, it was all city councillors, previous mayors, that came together and that paved the way.
The deal will also focus on building all types of housing, including affordable units. Chow and Ontario's Housing Minister Paul Calandra released a joint statement, saying in part, "Together, we will provide certainty and avoid unnecessary delays to shovels getting in the ground in order to build more homes of all kinds, increasing height and density around transit, and creating more affordable housing options for people." Tomorrow, Council will debate how to access even more federal money, $500 million worth, part of the Federal Housing Accelerator Fund. Daniela Ponticelli, CBC News, Toronto.
And it is -4 and cloudy as we look live at the city right now. Let's get to Victor Paulo with a first check on the forecast. Hey there, Victor.
Hope you're having yourselves a great late night. Taking a look at a couple of weather headlines. Well, we are going to be having a sunny week ahead between now and before the weekend. So we'll call it Friday night. It's going to be a sunny week. And we do have a warm Friday in store, as I just did allude to. And also, it's going to be a cloudy weekend ahead. Cloud cover makes a little bit of precipitation, but just a 40% chance. No heavy rainfalls passing through. Now, we're looking at average temperatures this time of year. 1.3 is your average high, minus 6.2 is your average low. And then this is why it's going to be sunny weather. Well, we got a high pressure system. It's going to be sitting right over the GTA when it comes to your Thursday and Friday. And that high pressure system means two things. There's no cloud cover to block all of the sun's rays, and you get to experience all of that lovely warmth to start off our Friday. But when it comes to tomorrow morning, and it's going to be a mix of sun and cloud, -3, feeling like -7, and we're taking a look at that 3-day forecast. Well, it's going to be a high of 4 degrees and a high of 9 degrees on Friday. So you want to make sure you stay tuned and stick around to see what else is in store for your 3- and 7-day forecast.
Thanks, Victor. Now to the dire funding situation for workers who support people with disabilities. Today, they launched a new campaign aimed at pressuring the provincial government to increase funding for their sector. Ali Chiasson explains what they're asking for.
Without an increase to their core funding, nonprofits like Community Living Ontario worry they can't continue on.
We provide supports to people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities throughout their life. We're either there 24/7 every day or on call every day to support people where they're at, where they live, with what they want to do.
But their funding hasn't kept up with inflation.
In the past 30 years, agencies have received 3.9% increase in base funding, while the cost of living has increased 60% during the same time.
It's been affecting a lot of people, including myself.
For Nico Pupella, it means his financial support has become inconsistent.
It's varied over the years. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
And appointments, no show.
Sometimes we get appointments canceled when you're supposed to have a staff come. So, I mean, hopefully with the increase, it'll give that boost to the staff so they're not always having to juggle them around and people are actually able to get the supports they need.
So here's what they're asking for.
A 5% immediate core funding increase to our sector.
They've launched a campaign encouraging people to email the Premier and Minister of Children, Community and Social Services to demand more funding, to which Minister Michael Parsa's office states they're working on it. In 2023-24, we are investing approximately $3.7 billion in the developmental services and vulnerable population sector to continue supporting people currently in service and those who are high risk and entering service.
There's not a lot of support to accommodate my sister or me.
Without it, families are strained.
My dad has to leave his work to support my sister, and that left my mom to support me in my employment. I feel heartbroken.
There is still hope that the 5 to Survive campaign unlocks provincial funding sooner than later. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Some important news from Toronto police. Officers are asking for the public's help to locate 3 missing brothers. Police releasing these images of the boys: 9-year-old Silas, 12-year-old Dallas, and 14-year-old River. They were last seen this afternoon at 3:30 near King Street West and University Avenue. Police say they are all together, but they are concerned for their safety. For the first time since the pandemic, Toronto's Symphonic Passion Chorus held its annual holiday concert in person tonight. The choir is made up of neurodiverse adults singing a mix of classic carols and some lesser-known songs. Tyler Cheese was at the show tonight and has all the details.
Well, the holiday spirit is certainly alive and well here at the Church of the Holy Trinity tonight. We're being treated to a fantastic performance. Let's take you in to have a look.
Tonight is our 18th choir presentation. Our choir is made up of adults who come from Surrey Place, and they get together for 4 months practicing and then come together to sing for the community.
Surrey Place is a nonprofit that helps people with autism and intellectual disabilities reach their full potential, and members of the Symphonic Passion Chorus look forward to giving this holiday performance every year.
We've had a whole year to practice, and a long time in the choir room of seeing each other every week, and the fact that we all get a chance to come out and do this is major. So I'm happy for that.
For the past 4 years, the concert was held virtually, but everyone is celebrating being back together in person.
It's just an incredible feeling, I think, for everybody. Like when we first told them we get to sing at the church this year, there was so much excitement in the room, and it just erupted into cheers and clapping.
And for the singers themselves, they love seeing everyone together and being able to experience the audience's response in real time.
I think it adds a lot of encouragement because a lot of the choir members were very, very nervous. Some of them, it was their first time. And so I think it was a great experience for them as well.
But it's not just about the music. The event also serves as a fundraiser with raffle prizes for members of the audience.
The donations go towards next year's choir presentation. It's a donation that helps to buy the pizza so that the choir can come together and enjoy. So it's really something to bring the community together.
And at the end of the day, the night is all about celebrating the holidays.
Christmas doesn't happen every day. It only happens once a year, so I'm grateful.
Surrey Place also accepts donations on its website. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
Returning now to take you to Mississauga's Square One Mall, where an Indigenous department store has opened a pop-up location. What started as a streetwear brand has since expanded, and this is its first spot in a major mall. And the hope is it'll help make Indigenous communities and creators more visible. Talia Ricci brings us that story.
Right now, we're at Square One Shopping Center in Mississauga. We are at our 1-month pop-up for the holidays. We moved in on November 20th, and we will be here until December 28th.
And tell me a bit about what's inside this shop.
So what's inside the shop is our house brand of apparel, Anin, and we also carry 20 other Indigenous brands and businesses that are all Indigenous owned inside of our space. I love having conversations on a day-to-day basis about what Anin means, and Anin is actually how you say hello in Anishinaabe-Moan or Ojibwe language. What I've been trying to do over the last 2.5 years is position ourselves as Canada's first department store that's 100% Indigenous owned. There's a made in Canada market, but there's a deeper market, and that's actually Indigenous. And the biggest thing that I try to just showcase first is that it's so important to have Indigenous owned representation, not only in designs and collaborations and partnerships, but actually being the owners ourselves.
Hi, my name is Jessica McKenzie. I am a proud member of Opaswak Cree Nation, and I am the owner of Future Kukum. Future Kukum means future grandmother in Indigenous languages, so it's really great for me to hopefully pass on future traditions of beadwork to my grandchildren one day. Future Kukum is an all-Indigenous beading traditional methods. When we look at beadwork as well as jewelry, we also make designs on canvas. So if you could think about a painting, but instead of it painted, it's actually beaded onto the canvas. When we think about people who are non-Indigenous coming into the store, I really want them to think about Indigenous culture, our community, beadwork, artwork, clothing, and truly take that piece with them when they go home, show it off to their friends, their family, and just be proud to own something that is Indigenous made. What do you think it means to the community to see this here?
So the community reaction that I've received has been incredible. I see tons and tons of urban natives, rural natives, res natives coming out to support the business. And it's just really, really beautiful to be able to see people's reactions for the first time.
In what ways do you hope this inspires maybe young Indigenous kids who come in here and see this shop?
I never saw a store that I felt like I could work in and represent myself as an individual. I never even thought that was an option. So for me to create a new platform and experience for other Indigenous youth to come in and maybe apply for their first job or be able to even get their designs into maybe more prematurely than what we'd be able to in the typical retail space, I think is just something that is super beneficial beyond what we can even kind of explain. It's just very action focused.
So a nice sunny and decently warm week ahead for you. Let's turn back to Victor Paulo with a look at the long-range forecast. Victor.
Taking a look at the map of North America here, one thing, of course, we'd like to note is the warming up, as you do see here on the West Coast. No, a lot of that blue and purple like we did have earlier, minus 23 in Yellowknife to start the week, but it's right down to 0 degrees, about 20-degree swing. Now, taking a look at what's happening over here in the southeastern of Ontario, where we're all located, well, you can see it is currently seasonal temperatures, but it is starting to warm up, and that's why we'll be receiving a lot of warmer weather when it comes closer to Thursday, and then stay tuned for that warm weather on Friday. But taking a look at some watches and warnings, north of the GTA as well as east and northeast as well, we do have snow squall warnings. These snow squall warnings will last all the way until about midway overnight for Thursday. So make sure if you have any travel planned overnight or late night in these regions, you are planning ahead because driving conditions will not be favorable. Let's take a quick look at what's happening tonight when it comes to temperatures. Well, if you're listening to this podcast and you might have a window open, you will notice that it is -4, feeling like -8 with a chance of flurries, and it is chilly outside. So you want to make sure if you do head out, you're prepared. Got to make sure you have yourself a hat, gloves, scarves, and you're definitely warm as well too. I'm not a fan of being too cold, so I like to make sure I layer up. Now here's what it looks like when it comes to snowfall amounts between now and let's say about Friday. Well, as I mentioned, it's a high pressure system. It's going to be beautiful sunny weather, and as you can see, there is no snow in the GTA predicted when it comes forecast when it comes to your Friday and it comes to your Thursday, which is always great news going into the weekend. But one thing we can see here as well is once that clear skies come through on Thursday into Friday, there's something coming off the Great Lakes, and you can see this is the reason why there's a 40% chance of rain when it comes to your Saturday. But taking a look at our 3 and 7 day forecast, well, it's going to be a high of 4 on Thursday. This is the warm up because here's the 9-degree Friday, which is going to be amazing. Look at those above seasonal lows. 40% chance of rain for Saturday. When it comes to your Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, take a look at that weather. It's going to be a high of 7 on Sunday, 40% chance of rain, but a high of 5 on Monday, 0 degrees on Tuesday, and back to regular schedule, 3 degrees on Wednesday. Hope you have yourselves a great night, and over to you.
Thanks, Victor. You too. And if you look up in the night sky tonight, beyond those clouds, you might just see a great light show. It is one of the best times to see the Geminide meteor shower. It's hailed as one of the best of the year, with potentially more than 100 meteors an hour. The trick is to watch it on your back, obviously, but with your feet facing south. NASA says that's the best way to see the action. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Ending the show and our day with a nod to how many people started the day today. Carolers performed for commuters in Union Station's York Concourse this morning, and you can catch the Carolers next Wednesday between 7 and 9 a.m. They'll be accepting donations for the annual United Way campaign. A nice way to start the day for a lot of folks. And that's it for us tonight. I'll be back with you tomorrow night at 11. And as we say goodnight, let's show you some beautiful photos from Nathan Phillips Square. Hopefully that'll also get you in the holiday spirit. Have a great night, everyone. See you tomorrow.